everyone. If you watch Once Upon a Gene TV, you know that we regularly feature the siblings of the rare disease kiddos, also known as a glass sibling. These brothers and sisters are kind and compassionate and wise beyond their years, so we thought they deserved their very own episode. Please enjoy the Super Sibling Special.
Nikki, it sounds like Miles has a pretty amazing brother and a superhero sibling, you might say. So I wonder if you can tell us about him.
Mason just has a huge heart. We don't ask him to be there for Miles, to care for Miles, but he just does. An example recently is Miles was swimming in the pool, and he usually always has a some kind of flotation device on him. And recently he's gotten tall enough where he can touch the bottom of the pool, and he's weightless, which is a great feeling for him because he can actually kind of walk around in the water, which he's not able to typically do. And so he's wanting to float around without flotation device, which as parents is, giving us a heart attack, but he's obviously asserting his independence. And so my husband and I are watching him like a hawk, but then there's Mason, and he is literally underwater with his goggles, watching Miles' every move and scooping him up every second, to the point where Miles is like, I've got this. Okay, you don't need to save me. But that's Mason. He's just there to save him every time.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Nicole, do you have any stories about super siblings you can share with us?
I do. Rosie has a little brother, so she's our oldest. So her little brother, Jack, is 16 months. So he's still learning a lot. And one of the most amazing things that he's doing right now is, I think he's such a great example for Rosie. My favorite thing is, we bought the kids, or Grandma and Grandpa bought the kids, these little remote control bumper cars for Christmas. But Jack is learning to drive his on his own, which amazes me. It's got like 2 steer. He can back up, he can go forward, he rides it on his own. And obviously we hope that Rosie would learn, and she is learning. She's watching him. She's like trying to put her hands on it so we can control it, but she would love for her to control it herself. She's got a manual wheelchair that she's still really not learning how to push quite yet. So we're hoping this will be a fun thing. And they love to bump and crash. And Jack likes to chase her around. So I think he's going to be a great example. He's going to teach her a lot of things.
So I understand Miss Elliott has a pretty special sibling. Is that right?
She does. So Miss Elliott was our second daughter. And as you know, she passed away when she was just 3 years old. But if she were still here today, she would be 12. And our older daughter, Skylar, is 4 years older, so she is 16. And Skylar is a pretty special girl, if I'm not at all biased. I would say that she has such a head on her shoulders with compassion and empathy for others, and she has a real heart for service. So because of Miss Elliott's life, Skylar is really interested in pursuing a career in genetics, and she would like to be a geneticist to help other families who are struggling with some of the issues that families like ours have struggled with, especially regarding diagnosis. So she's doing wonderful right now. She's both a junior in high school and a freshman in college, and that's her career aspiration, is working toward becoming a geneticist.
So to switch gears a little bit, can you tell us, do you have a super sibling story?
I do. So I am an only child, so it might be weird that I have a super sibling story, but I promise it makes sense. I have a rare disease little sister. Her name's Kayla, and her nickname is actually Supergirl, so it's kind of fitting that we're talking about this right now. We joke that we were essentially biological sisters because our DNA and our rare diseases were so similar. We were both 1 in a millions at various times for different things, so it's just kind of crazy how that works. But some of my most favorite, which this is going to sound like an oxymoron, is, favorite hospital memories, which if you can have those, I promise you can, were spent, like, I would go over to her room and we'd be watching a movie, and I would go put it like on my door, tell the nurses that you can't find me if you need vitals, I'm over in Kayla's room, etc. And yeah, she became my little sister. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks before her 15th birthday, she passed away from complications of my rare disease. And it was, I'm gonna get emotional. It was really difficult, and I had a lot of survivor's guilt due to it. Tying it back to drug repurposing a little bit, she wasn't as lucky as me. I found treatments that worked for me. I had doctors who were willing to prescribe repurposed drugs, etc., and she wasn't. And so that's something I still to this day struggle a lot with. But before she passed away, she was going on this medical trip. She was going to see doctors out of state, and so I wanted to do something special for her, and I threw her a little going away party, and it ended up being a goodbye party. It was the last time we all got to see her before she passed away. But I don't know how to explain it. She knew that it was going to be a goodbye. Something she knew innately, and she gave me a really big hug at the end, and she asked me to look after her little sisters like they were my own. And I thought she just meant while she was gone. She was like, oh my gosh, of course. It wasn't until a few weeks later when she did pass away that I really understood what she meant. So we like to say the girls have one big sister in heaven and one big sister on earth. And honestly, getting to know these girls and getting to be their big sister has been the greatest joy and greatest accomplishment of my life. They're the most incredible little humans ever. Oh my gosh, Cadence and Clea, I could go on about them forever, and I know that we don't have time for that, so I won't. But I was broken after I lost Kayla. I was drowning in survivor's guilt. I was feeling horrible, and I realized, though, I lost one sister and I gained two more, and I have an opportunity to help make sure that they never have to go through the things that Kayla and I went through, and make sure that they know how much their big sister loves them. Both of their big sisters love them. Kayla's conditions are genetic, and so Cadence and Clea both have some of the symptoms. Cadence is starting to show symptoms already, and it's been really, really difficult for her. And watching her go through this, which such strength and grace has been honestly inspiring. I don't think I could have done that when I was her age. She lost her sister, and within a year began experiencing symptoms. And this was a few years back. So it's really just incredible. And I will share one happy memory so that it's not just all depressing on this note that I leave you on, and understands with the more super side of the super siblings. One of my favorite memories with them was getting to surprise them and take them to their first ever concert. It was Taylor Swift. And we had so much fun. And it was actually where Kayla had gone to her first concert. And so we all got to feel really connected and have this very normal night that wasn't talking about medication or in the hospital trading rooms or doing any of those things. It was a very normal sister bonding thing. And that to me just showed their strength even more. But that's my super sibling story. My little sisters are honestly my world. They're my cover screen for everything. I love them with my whole heart. All of my friends know I brag about them constantly because I'm just amazed by them.
Jennifer, do you have a super sibling story involving Izzy or Noah?
Well, Izzy and Noah are definitely super sibs, both of them. So I hate to pick a story from one and not the other. But I think the one that's coming to my mind was Ben had a bunch of pills that he needed to take every day when he was just starting to have swallowing difficulties. And we couldn't figure out how to get that medication into him. And one day we were at the takeout window at McDonald's, mostly because Ben loved to eat the French fries. But Noah got a drink, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever noticed, but McDonald's has really wide straws. I think they do it so we drink more Coke. But Noah from the back seat was like, Mom, we can just put Ben's pill inside a McDonald's straw and he'll suck it right up. And lo and behold, it worked for us for like 3 years. And that's how we would just go to McDonald's and steal a lot of straws. And every day we would put the pill inside the straw and put it in the glass, and Ben would suck it all up. And so that was definitely a crowning moment for one of my siblings.
That is hilarious. I love that story.
Effie, can you tell us a super sibling story?
I have so many super sibling stories. That little girl, she's 3 today. It's her birthday, which I cannot believe.
Ezzy.
Yes. And the first thing she does is fly out of bed and come and sit by Ford on the couch. But yeah, something that she really likes to do when we're out at certain places, when we're going on family walks to the parks on the weekends. Ezzy loves being in charge of making sure Ford gets where we're going. Even though Ford can propel himself most times, she knows that he loves to go fast. And so she takes control. She won't let Casey or I touch the wheelchair at all. She will stop if we try to touch it. And she reaches up and she just waddles and she can't really see where she's going and it's terrifying sometimes, and she just runs as fast as she can and makes him laugh. And they both get to have this wild adventure, and she just feels like such a helper, I think, and she also knows that it's scary and that it's not something that we love happening all the time, but she knows Ford loves it so much. And so she goes out of her way to just give him the joy that he seeks all the time. And it's really special to watch.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
And she's definitely a super sibling because I've seen her dress up as the superhero hippo.
Oh yeah. She's a superhero almost every day. She has a few different capes and she is super amazing for sure.
Crystal, you mentioned Wonder Woman, and the next thing we want to do is talk about super siblings. So in this case, you are the sibling. That's how you got started with all this. Tell us a bit about your brothers or some story in which, this experience required a little more of you.
Aw, thank you. I love talking about my brothers. So the Barrett family, my parents met and married straight out of high school. They met in high school. He was captain of the football team and she was head drill team leader, and they had 5 kids in 8 years. I'm the youngest of 5, and my oldest brother, Richard, is still alive. David, Jared, and Randy were born with Hunter syndrome, which is mucopolysaccharidosis. And there were no treatments available at the time, and they passed away when they were 12, 18, and 19 years old. So our whole family was wrapped up in caregiving for my brothers. And fast forward years later, I still have this relationship with my brothers. I envision them as Orion in the night sky, the constellation in the night sky that represents the warrior. And there's 3 stars in the constellation Orion that represent the sword. And so spring and summer, when Orion goes across the sky, any given night, I'm in the hot tub just chatting with my brothers, kind of reporting back on what's been happening in Angel Aid and the family. Before I walk on stage, I'm usually throwing up my energy to Orion and just looking for more strength. So I guess what I would say is all of your other children are going to be okay. It's the one message I can give to you. In fact, we're superhuman. Our empathy muscle has been exercised and stressed and strengthened in ways that really you can't imagine. And also there can be really great honoring in passing of a soul. So I hope that those are some inspirational messages for you there.
Amazing humans, aren't they? Thank you so much for watching. And if you have a super sibling in your life, please contact us and tell us about them.